Today I'm going to show you a product test lab, specifically the test lab at SVV. Here at SVV they call it the black box because inside this lab are all the machines and equipment to test the product to see what happens under certain environments. What happens if it catches fire, what happens with heavy vibrations, what happens when the temperature drops. They have incredible machines here that simulate all these environments to test the product before it actually gets made.
I'm Joris, and having a hardware startup myself, I come to Shenzhen for manufacturing, investment, and to stay up to date with the latest tech. To help other startups get off the ground in China, I'm making these videos about the forefront of innovation and share insight and resources for your own hardware startup.
This printer is not your typical Ultimaker. This is a multi-material printer, so this is a sample that's come from it. So these glasses are completely printed in one go in the multi-material printer. So there's rubber parts, and then there's clear transparent parts. So this is a really high-end printer that you won't really find in any makerspace. Again, this is the type of specialized equipment that you find here because this is sort of for the next level product development. So this is really beyond the makerspace. This is pro level, getting ready for manufacturing. And that's why they have these really specialized machines here. So here we have another really specialized machine. This is a 5-axis CNC machine, meaning you can make these really intricate parts and molds because obviously 5-axis CNC moves all these ways around the part. Again, I can't say this enough, but these type of machines are really that type of specialist machines that you need to make these high quality parts that you won't find with some of the lower grade manufacturers or maker spaces, because these machines cost an absolute fortune and require really specialist staff to operate them. So again, this is all in-house in the black box, and that's what makes this place so special if you want to make these high quality products. So here what you see is a sort of simulation of an assembly line. And so again, here the new product introduction engineers can help the startups understand how this product is being put together and what problems they might run into, again, before going to the actual factory and setting up the real production line. Here you have these mini simulation production lines where they can go through the whole process before actually going to the factory. So right now there's a new product going on and they're testing how it will work assembling it in this simulation production line. So this machine is a thermal shock testing machine. That means that it can simulate environments where the temperature changes really fast. Imagine if you have a smartwatch and you're on the beach and it's out in the sun, getting super hot, and then you jump into the pool. That's a huge temperature change, and for hardware and electronics that can be really challenging. This platform here simulates vibrations. Now, a really good example of a product they just had go through this testing process at this facility are LiDAR sensors for autonomous driving. Similarly found to the sensors in Teslas, as Shenzhen is really becoming a leader on autonomous driving, they're gearing up with these LiDAR sensors, and LiDAR sensors on cars have to go through these harsh environments because they're in a car, so they're going to have to withstand rain and temperature drops, and they need to be really high grade. So that level of high quality products can be tested in this lab. So the LiDAR testing is one of the things that they've recently completed here. So here we have a Lifecycle test machine. Now this is mainly used for testing buttons. The reason for this is quality and cost. Say you're making a smartphone and you have a little volume button. If you predict that volume button is only going to be pressed 100,000 times during its lifetime, then you don't need to go for a button that can withstand 1 million presses. But you got to make sure that that button will actually still function after it's been pressed 100,000 times. So what you do is you put your product or your sample in this machine, and it will press it as many times as it can to get to that rate where it says that it should withstand it. So this is really important to test all your samples with, because otherwise you might end up manufacturing a product with a button that's going to break down after 100 cycles where it needs to be 1,000. Another really important thing to think about when making your product is fire safety. To get certified, all your products need to meet fire safety standards, and so they have 2 awesome machines that simulate really high temperatures and fires to make sure your product can withstand it. The first one is this one. This is the glow wire tester, and this just drops a really high temperature glowing wire onto your product to see what happens. This one is the needle flame tester. It's not on right now, but it's pretty spectacular when it is, because this just basically shoots a flame from a needle onto your product. Now, it's really important to understand that all products with a battery need to go through this testing, because you need to know what happens if they get exposed to high temperatures to not have a Samsung problem, for instance, with an exploding Galaxy. All electronic products emit some sort of electromagnetic interference, but that needs to be tested and regulated. So you need to get your FCC certification, you need to get your CE certification, and as a pre-scan to that, they have this chamber where they test the interference coming from your product. So this chamber, I never know how to pronounce it, it's a chamber that is completely shut off from outside interference, and that makes sure that whatever this huge antenna picks up is just the interference coming from your device, and that cannot be too much, because if it's too much it won't pass FCC and CE certification. So here they make the pre-test for that to make sure, again, that before you go into production you make sure that your product will meet those certification standards, because otherwise you end up with a huge batch of products that will never be able to be allowed and sold in stores. So this room is for wireless calibration and debugging. So inside this shielded room, the teams work on wireless networks and making sure that the wireless part of it works. And because it's wireless and radio, it needs to be in this shielded container that is inside the office. So to keep up to speed, once they find a problem or a bug here in testing, then they immediately go into this room where they can fix and debug and modify whatever is wrong, and then go back into testing. So this room again is a really specialized room. This one is for camera and lens testing. So they've got all these things here to test cameras and lenses and colors and sharpness, and it looks really impressive. So they've got this big setup here to test all different kinds of materials, colors, to make sure that cameras have the right color balance, that they have the right sharpness. I hope this video explains why an engineering partner integrated with the manufacturer has a huge benefit, because a small engineering problem can cost huge amounts of money down the line when you find out about it in manufacturing. The second thing is your time to market. Having an engineering partner that is integrated with the manufacturer will speed up the entire process. And this is really important if you're delivering on a Kickstarter campaign, or if it's your first time delivering a product and you want to make your deadlines. Hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next time.